Hello, it's Tony. I was wondering today if I should make another video about aid to Africa, and my mind was made up when when I noticed that there's an editorial in the in today's New York Times, which I read online, and it makes the point that we are failing, the rich countries of the world are failing Africa because the promises that the leaders made at the turn of the millennium are not being kept. They promised an increase in aid, and aid has actually fallen by almost 13% between 2005 and 2007. And even at a time when things are difficult for us because of rising fuel prices and rising food prices, a policy of country first and to hell with everyone else just isn't good enough. If the rich countries of the world are finding it difficult in the present environment, you can be sure it's even worse in Africa. And between country first and all men are equal, if all men are equal, if that's to mean anything at all, then it's got to mean that we don't allow starvation. And Africa needs aid so that they can increase their food yields, and I'll put up a link to how they've done that in Malawi, so that they can feed themselves, and they're not reliant on the fluctuating price of food if they have to buy it on the markets. Africa should be, as far as possible, the different countries of Africa should be independent in food and not having to import it. It's interesting, this editorial in the New York Times, but there's a mistake in it. They say that the rich countries of the world committed themselves to giving 0.7% of their national income in overseas aid in 2002. Well, that commitment, that 0.7%, 70 cents in $100, was made in 1970, not in 2002. They committed themselves again in 2002, and I think they laid down a timetable, but that commitment was made in 1970. So it's never been met. Aggregate aid at the moment is about 0.28%, and that's over the 21 countries of the OECD. So if the 0.7% had been met since 1970, there would have been an extra $3.3 trillion of aid given to Africa at 2006 prices. Now, we could go into whether or not that would have been well spent, but there's a huge difference between what was promised by the rich world and what was actually delivered. $3.3 trillion, which I think is about a third of the United States national debt. It's perhaps nearly 5 times the rescue package being debated by Congress at the moment. And I won't name and shame the worst countries, but there are 5 countries who have always given more than 0.7% of their national income in overseas aid, and they are Sweden, Norway, Denmark, the Netherlands, and Luxembourg. So they're all small countries the actual amount that they give in aid each year will be relatively small, but as a share of their national income, they've done what they promised that they would do. And really, that is what we expect of our leaders, that when they sign up to say they'll do something, they do it. One way in which they've done it, I think Denmark, I saw a comparison of overseas aid to military spending. Denmark's overseas aid budget is about 50% of their military spending, so that's an interesting way of looking at it. But there does have to be more aid. The importance of Africa as a continent being able to feed itself cannot be overestimated for at least two reasons. One, climate change, and two, rising population. Anyway, I'll do the links to the New York Times editorial and an article I saw where the country of Malawi has received aid and has used it to increase their crop yields so that they can feed themselves better. Okay, that's it.